Saturday marks the official beginning of the new season. It's a new semester for you. Another chance for you to change lives. Now, I say a new season because it's like sports, right? There's an on season, then an off season. And you all are coming from your off season. And, you know, with athletes, they have this heavy regimen that they engage in during the off season. The Kobe method and LeBron. I'm not going to ask you your method. I've seen too many of you at the bars in Torrance. But, you know, that doesn't matter, does it? Teachers have a different way of doing it. But what I want to do is to just take a few moments today to talk to you. Brothers and sisters, kindred spirits, those of us involved in higher education. I really didn't come today to talk at El Camino College. I really came today to talk to El Camino College. You see, El Camino College is more than brick and mortar, trees, grass, and glass. No, it is also heart and soul. And the heart and soul of this institution can never be represented by brick and mortar. The heart and soul of this institution is you. You are the reason people come to this school. And in the short amount of time that I'm going to speak with you today, I'd like to preach to the choir, if that's all right. And like any good choir, I know you know the words to the song. It's not your first rodeo. But sometimes we forget. And it is in that forgetting that we need to be reminded why. So I'd like to pose a question to you. And for those of you who are at graduation, it's the same question I posed to the 2019 graduating class at El Camino. Why are you here? Think about that for a second. That question is one that we should ask ourselves repeatedly throughout our lives, particularly if we keep doing the same thing over and over again, because sometimes we forget. And when we forget, we begin to behave in ways that are not positive and productive for us or the people that we serve. Now, I know that all of you are here for different reasons. For some of you, education is a passion. You've been in higher education for years. It's something you dreamed about as a child. And because of that, every day for you is a joy just to get up to go to work. But I also know that sitting in the audience, some of you may say, well, for me, this is just a gig. It's a job. If you fall into that latter group, I hope that something that I say today might help you to rethink that point of view. You all, ladies and gentlemen, fall into a category of what I call very elite people who are transformers. Not many of those in our society or in our personal lives. You are transformers in the sense that through education, you have the capacity to change lives, families, communities, and the world. That is not too lofty an expression that I just said. You have the capacity, not that it happens all the time, but you have the capacity to transform people's lives. You heard about my mother's story about her life, how her life was transformed, and she was able to get up off of her knees as a maid and scrub up in surgery at Kaiser Hospital as a chief surgical nurse. You know that story from graduation. There's another story about the challenges that people face trying to get this thing called education, and those people are coming to you. And sometimes we forget how important it is to them to get what we have to offer, or the challenges and the struggles they have to overcome to get here to even get it. In 2008, I was in South Africa for the 90th birthday of Madiba, President Mandela. And while I was there, I was working on a film project. We were there for 3 months in country. I found out that there were schools in Soweto, the township, that needed teachers. And so I worked out a deal with the studio to give me free time in my schedule so that I can go and tutor students at this local school. The school was called the Pluvuko Primary School, and it's in Soweto, right on the border of Cliptown. So when I went there to tutor, keep in mind, my American sensibilities go to South Africa. And while I'm there to tutor, I walk into the room, and there's about 50 students in a room and one teacher. And they said, "Oh, good, Mr. Young is here. We will break into our tutoring session." So I come up in the front of the class, and I say, "All right, class, we're going to be reading from your book." Now, this was a book of fiction, but something that they really enjoyed doing. That's what they told me. So I said, "So we're going to read." I have my copy of the book that they've given me, and I would like for all of you now to pull out your copy, and we're going to engage in reading. We're going to learn today. And so all the students jumped up, and they started coming towards me, and I said, No. You can just sit at your desk and read from your book. And the teacher comes over and whispers in my ear, "Mr. Young, they are going to the book." I said, what do you mean to the book? She says, "I don't know how it is in your country, Mr. Young, but we don't have many books here. We only have one book. So the students are going to find the book." I said, "Where is the book?" "The student who has worked the hardest and gotten the best grades can hold the book for the day." So she, sitting in the front row with the book, that's where they are going. So they all gather around this one student and this one book, all 50 of them. And we began to read, and those students were grateful to read one sentence from that book. And then my turn. And there were so many of them, we came down to one word as they would bounce around that word. But the joy that came from them, the expression on their faces, reading from that one book. And I asked the teacher afterwards, I said, "How do you do it? Isn't this so discouraging?" She said, "Mr. Young, if they come for the book, I will come for them. Your students are coming for the book." It cost them $300, but it's still $250. They are coming to get something from you, and you are the gatekeeper who holds it. To the extent that we are reminded of how desperate sometimes people are to get what we have, it should awaken something in us to say, if they will come for the book, I will come for them. And not begrudgingly. No, I wake up longing to get to them so that I can help them with the book. That is the kind of teacher and servant that I saw in South Africa. I think that one of the things that's so important about what that woman did is that she didn't make any more doing what she was doing with those students. And I made nothing. Most of you who do that extra stuff that has nothing to do with your job description, you're not getting paid for that. Your rate basically would allow you to get away with much less. And I'm afraid many people do get away with much less. And sometimes I've even heard, and you have too, the expression, well, they don't pay me enough for that. As if that person would really do more if you paid them more. No, it doesn't work that way. If you are that person who would do more, you do it whether they were paying you or not. Because the incentive for you doing it is internal. Yes. Our greatest people here, the staff members, the teachers, the coaches, the counselors, all of you, the administrators, Dr. Maloney, your greatest work is after hours, when you're off the clock. How many English professors here? Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm an old adjunct English professor myself. We read essays. You all may not. Who are the math people? Scantron, Scantron, Scantron. It's that, I heard from a math teacher. It's that extra stuff that you do that singles you out from all of the rest. And as an institution, El Camino College, it's that extra stuff that you collectively do that singles out El Camino College from all of the others. I will never forget the story. I was asked to come to speak at Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia. And as I was being brought in by the president, I was going to an amphitheater where I was supposed to be speaking. But there was a professor in there with a large English class. And they said, Mr. Young, can you wait just a moment? We have a little bit of a problem. The door pops open, and out comes this small frame woman with braided locks. And she has in one hand a piece of paper, crumpled up. And in the other hand, she had a freshman in tow. And she brought her up, put her against the wall, and said, how dare you hand me this junk? I taught your mama, and I taught your mama's mama. This is beneath you. You have a last name. It means something. This does not represent that. And I will not accept this junk. Here, take it back. She said, this college is my college. It is your college. And you will not do inferior work at Spelman. Now, redo it, and I will accept it. She said, now, wash your face, get yourself together, and come back into my class. At which time the young lady took off, and the professor turned around and said, oh, Mr. Young. How are you? But for that moment, she owned the college. She accepted the fact. She was Spelman College. I am Spelman, she said, and therefore I won't accept this junk. It is beneath you. It is not worthy of the name of Spelman or El Camino College. We don't do junk here. And I will not let you get away with it. At another colleges, that's an F. That's an F. That's an F. You failed. Better luck next time. At Spelman College, how dare you? You know how much more money she made for doing that? Nothing. Did she even have to do it? No. But she did, because that's who she was. She didn't say, if you pay me a little bit more money, I'll do that. But if you don't, I'm just going to do this. She didn't say that. It was her personal commitment. Hear me, faculty. Hear me, staff. Hear me, brothers and sisters. Hear me, El Camino College. El Camino College is about to meet the incoming students, starting Saturday officially, but then Monday, full swing. And when you do, starting with you in the front office, because you're the front line, you're the first person that they see, the students will form an impression of this fine institution. Yeah. Some of you get that, but it's amazing how many don't. I was in, how many people from Oklahoma, before I say this? You have to check sometimes. Oh, so I didn't get any hands? Oh, I have free reign. I was in Oklahoma. I'm not going to mention the name of this well-known college, but I was speaking in Oklahoma and doing the same thing. It was professional development. I was talking to the faculty and the staff. I came in and I spoke, and I thought I did well. And the ovation they gave me told me, oh, wow, we connected. It resonated with them. And then the president said, thank you so much, Mr. Young. We'd love to have you come back. I go home. 2 days later, my phone rings. It's the president of the college. The president said, Mr. Young, I hate to bother you, but there is one professor who wanted me to send an email to you. And I'm not going to do that unless you tell me that you accept those, you kind of use them as evaluative tools. And I said, no, send it, of course, not knowing what was in it. I get the email letter, and the professor is a history professor who at the beginning of the letter spends 2 paragraphs telling me his credentials. I am a distinguished member of the board of such and such. I hold various degrees in psychology, history. I have been dubbed the honorific abilitudinitatis of and so on and so forth. And then he began to rake me over the coals by saying, how dare you come and tell me how to teach my classes? I've been teaching longer than you've been alive. I know what I'm doing. And then he went back to, I'm on this board and that board. I said, yeah, you said that. You said that. But serious, true story. And said, how dare you do that? He says, let me tell you what my responsibility as a professor here at this university. He said, my job is to disseminate information. The job of a student is to receive that information and to do with it what they will. This was a tenured professor at a major university. My job is simply to disseminate information. I said, okay, how do I respond to that? Because some of you may feel the same way. If your job is simply to disseminate information, we don't need you anymore. You have just been replaced by this iPad. Right? And let me tell you why this iPad becomes even more attractive. Because the bean counters in the back room are always trying to figure out how to cut costs. So there is a movement afoot that some of you may be aware of to replace some professors in colleges with artificial intelligence. Some of you may have heard of the reckless experiment in Ohio. The automation experiment in Ohio, take a look at it. What they did was created classrooms where they're going to test whether or not this can replace you, based on the theory that the Oklahoma professor was positing, that all you do is disseminate information. By the way, that experiment failed miserably. But in the meantime, it was attractive for this reason. Whatever I pay you, I pay this nothing. Think about it from a business perspective. How many lunch breaks? How many bathroom breaks? No maternity leave. No vacation time. No collective bargaining. No union. Plug and play. This becomes the new human interaction. Be careful when you think of yourself as simply a disseminator of information. The truth is this can never replace you. And that was the conclusion from the Ohio experiment. And the reason, oh yeah. And the reason why it cannot replace you is because of that heart and soul, ladies and gentlemen. But you lose the heart and soul, you make yourself vulnerable. It is the heart and soul that made Mr. Paul C. McMorris, who we call the mayor of Locke High School. It made him a legend at our school. Paul C. McMorris took ownership. He said, these are my kids. He locked the gates with padlocks and rode around with a bat on a golf cart and told the Crips gang when they were trying to infiltrate our church, he says, over my dead body. He said, these are mine. You want to get to them, you go through me. That was Paul C. McMorris. He passed away, and it was the largest funeral we had ever had in the community. And by the way, I should mention that Paul C. McMorris was a janitor at our school. He was a janitor. Whatever your title, whatever your position, staff member, faculty, I don't care if you mow the grass, you are El Camino College. On Monday when El Camino College opens, Saturday unofficial, El Camino College will be there to greet those students. And when you look at them and hold out that hand to greet them, professors, let them know, I am El Camino College, and I expect more from you. Staff members in the front office, when they walk in, look them in the eye and say, welcome to my school, El Camino College. All of you in any other capacity, coaches, before you run their guts out, be nice to them and say, welcome to El Camino College. In short, ladies and gentlemen, all we need is a wake-up call. You're going to get X's and O's this afternoon. What a great schedule they have for you. But I wanted to come and shake things up a little bit by simply reminding you of the heroes and sheroes that you are. I'm not inventing this. You are already magnificent. I'm honored to even being able to speak to you. But the thing is, like any great choir, again, we go over the lyrics so that we don't forget. For those of you who are new, welcome to this incredible institution. And those of you who are returning, welcome back. But come back and come in with that spirit. Come in with that spirit that emanates from Dr. Maloney's office when she talks about this school with pride. I'm going to leave you with one thing. There is a banner on this campus on one of the walkways that has my face on it. Along with other banners of distinguished alums from this college. That's something I'm very proud of. What it doesn't say, because there wasn't enough room on that banner, is all of the men and women who worked here, who made it possible for me to be on that banner. It doesn't allow for even my mother or other people. I accept it. I have a better picture, but that one's okay. I accept it, but I only accept it on behalf of you, you heroes and sheroes. Remember, you are El Camino College. Be El Camino College. If you've been sitting back and mailing it in and you know who you are, wake up to this idea that you are more than disseminators of information. No, you are a hug. You are a how dare you. You are a Paul C. McMorris. You are a hero. And it's been my honor to speak to you today.